Hello people and welcome to the next lesson in our geometry topic. This one is finding the unknown angle of a polygon. And I've split this particular skill up into two parts because the questions range from quite basic, which is what we're going to cover in this part one. And then part two, we're going to keep separate for some of the harder type questions that come up. So equipment you're going to need for this lesson, same as always. Make sure you've got your maths book, pen, and a calculator with you. If you haven't got them yet, pause the video, get your stuff, and then resume the lesson once you're ready. All right, so hopefully everyone's ready. Today's heading, make sure you get this into your book. And these are our notes. It's just pretty much how we're going to go about solving these questions. So we're going to calculate the angle sum of the polygon if we don't already know it. Once we know the angle sum, we can then create our geometry equation, and then solving it will ultimately lead us to the answer for the question. So once your heading and your notes are in, pause the video if you need to, and then we'll get straight into these questions and how we do them. All right, so we've got 3 examples in total, which should hopefully give you enough of a chance to see how to do this. And in order for you to be able to do them yourself, let's look at the first one here. We want to find the size of the missing angle. So we have ourselves a pentagon. There's 5 sides in total. Obviously, with that comes 5 angles. We know the size of 4 of the angles, but one of the angles is missing. Now, unlike some of the lessons we covered earlier on in the topic with the triangle and quadrilateral, for this one here, we don't automatically know what the angle sum is. So that's going to be our first step right here to calculate the angle sum. So let's go ahead and do that. And by the way, this will actually be, your first mark for these questions. So for a pentagon, what is the angle sum? It's got 5 sides, so we're going to use that rule that we learnt in the previous lesson of taking away 2. So if we've got 5 sides, take away 2, we end up with 3 lots of 180. So typing that in, we get 540 degrees. You've got your first mark, and you've got your first step completed. We now know what these 5 angles are going to add up to. So the next step is to create our equation. Since we know these 5 angles add up to 540, let's write that out as an equation. So first I'm going to start at the unknown angle, x. So we know that x plus 90 plus 120 plus 100 plus the 150, right? These 5 angles will all add up and equal 540 degrees. We know that because we just calculated the angle sum up here. So I have created an equation, and just like we saw last week, don't start solving that equation straight away. We're always going to just take the next step just to relax and simplify that equation. So we've got our equation written up. How many x's do we have in total? There's only 1. And this will be the case for this entire part 1 lesson. We're going to be keeping it pretty basic. There's going to be 1 missing angle for these examples. So we've got 1 lot of x. We've got 90 plus 120 plus 100 plus 150. So let's add all of that together. We end up with 300, is that 460? So we've added these numbers together to get 460, and it's still equal to 540. All right, so we created our equation. We've simplified the equation, and now we're going to solve it. So we're trying to get x by itself. We need to get rid of this positive 460. So we're going to take away 460. 540, take away 460, gives us 80 degrees, which is the size of our missing angle. That there was an 80-degree angle, right? So what did we do? We found the angle sum of the shape. In this case, it was a pentagon, so we had 3 times 180. Once we had the angle sum, we were then able to write out the equation. That there would be probably your second mark of the question. Once you have the equation written out, simplifying it and solving it will get you your final mark. So this question here, you realistically are probably looking like a 3-mark question in an exam. And that is how you do it. This is going to be the same process we're going to do for all the questions. So let's go ahead and look at our second of our 3 examples. We want to solve this equation, not a problem. Our first step is to work out what all of these, in this case 6 angles, add up to. So this is where we look at previous lesson. We need to find the angle sum. We've got 6 sides, so we are going to take away the 2, 4 lots of 180. Okay, so these 6 angles are all going to add up to, in total, 720 degrees. All right, and congratulations, we have our first mark. All right, now that we know the angle sum, let's write out our equation. I'm a little bit nervous about fitting this in because I've got 6 different angles here to add up. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, so we have, I'm going to start with the x, that angle there, plus 100, plus 110, plus the 60, plus the 300, plus the 40. Okay, so if we add up all of these 6 angles, it will equal in total 720 degrees. That's us using our geometry. Once you have the equation written out, I suspect you probably then have your second mark. Now it's just a matter of solving this equation to find the value of our missing angle. But again, before we solve it, we're going to simplify it. What do we have? Just the one lot of x. We've got a whole bunch of numbers that have been added up here together. So that 400, 610. Okay, so I've simplified the equation. Now let's go ahead and solve it. How do we get, by the way, for those people that are still a little bit weak with their equations, check out the Canvas, because I've got a bonus lesson up this week just going through how to solve equations for those that are still struggling with it. As you can see, equation solving is so crucial to our geometry this year. Anyway, to get rid of that positive 610, we're going to have to do the opposite of plussing 610, which is taking away 610. So we have to go 720, take away the 610, and you're getting 110 degrees, which would be the final mark and the value of our unknown angle. That angle there turns out to be the size 110 degrees. Right, and on to our final example. This one here was my attempt at drawing a regular octagon. That is, well, an octagon is just an 8-sided shape, right? Whenever people say it's regular, that just means all the sides and all the angles are equal. Now, for this particular octagon, you know the first step. It doesn't matter. We need to know what the angle sum is, right? That's our first mark. Let's work it out. So an octagon has 8 sides. So our angle sum will be 8 take away 2, 6 lots of 180. Typing that into your calculator, you get your 1080 degrees. Okay, so we've worked out what the 8 angles of this octagon all add up to. We actually have kind of a shortcut to this one here, because every single angle is equal. These questions here are actually easier than the first 2 examples we looked at. Because all the angles are equal, we can actually find the value of this x straight away. All of these angles add up to 1080 degrees in total, and they're all going to be equal. So we can actually just divide this by 8, split it up between the 8 angles, and again, just typing this into the calculator, you're going to get 135 degrees. That's the angle of x. So we actually were kind of able to completely negate the whole equation step here. That's definitely going to be worth a mark. For questions like this, they are easier. Potentially, you're only looking at a 2-mark question in total. We'll just have to see. But anyway, there are 3 examples. That's how we do it. So in each case, find your angle sum. If you already know what the angle sum is because you've already done the questions and you've got a good memory, you can just go straight to your equation. Just be aware that this angle sum here, right, knowing that in this case you had a hexagon, those 6 sides is going to be, those 6 angles are going to equal up to 720 degrees. Getting that number correct is going to be worth a mark within itself. So make sure you've got that number correct if you are just going off your memory. If not, just quickly type it in your calculator. It shouldn't take too long to double check. All right, final part of the lesson. By the way, I didn't mention it, but please make sure you do have all 3 examples copied in. So if you need to, definitely pause the video here, get example 1 copied into your books now. Example 2, make sure you have example 2 copied into your books as well. And example 3. Okay, so once you've got all 3 examples copied in, I've got 4 questions in total for you guys to do yourselves. The first 2 are here. So I'm going to get you to find the size of the missing angle. This is for all 4 examples. So here's your first 2. Have a go at solving these 2 questions. Pause the video now. Once you've solved those 2, you can move on to the next section. There's 2 more examples for you to do. I'm actually missing the part here. I want you to find the size of that angle there. Of course, for number 3, all 5 example angles will be the same size. So pause the video, have a go at solving these 2. Once you're done, unpause the video and I'll reveal the answers for you. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at answering those 4 questions. Feel free to double check the answers now. If you do have any further questions or any comments, you can leave comments or questions either in this YouTube comment section or back on Canvas, or you can just send me an email directly. I'll get it no matter which way you choose to go about it. All right, best of luck with your maths, guys. I'll see you next time.